everyone. Today I would like to talk a little more deeply about Japan's Edo period. Please take your time, relax, and listen. I'm sure samurai is famous, but have you ever heard of it? So let's get started. During the Edo period in Japan 16,031,868, the samurai underwent significant changes in their roles, status, and lifestyle as the era marked a prolonged period of peace under the rule of the Tokugawa shogunate. Despite their historical image as elite warriors, the samurai of the Edo period found themselves increasingly relegated to administrative and bureaucratic roles, leading to the emergence of a more refined and cultured class known as the Buke or warrior bureaucrats. This transformation of the samurai class reflects a complex interplay of political, social, and economic factors that shaped the Edo period and influenced the trajectory of Japanese history. One of the most striking aspects of the samurai's evolution during the Edo period was their transition from being primarily martial warriors to becoming administrators and civil servants. With the establishment of the Tokugawa shogunate, Japan experienced a prolonged period of peace and stability, known as the Pax Tokugawa, which lasted for over 2 centuries. This era of relative peace led to a decline in larger-scale military conflicts, reducing the need for the samurai to engage in frequent warfare. As a result, many samurai found themselves without a clear purpose or occupation, leading them to seek employment in the burgeoning bureaucracy of the Tokugawa government. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, the samurai class was reorganized into a strict hierarchical system known as the Hen system. Daimyo, or feudal lords, were granted control over specific territories known as Han, which they administered with the assistance of their samurai retainers. Samurai were appointed to various positions within the Hen administration, ranging from low-ranking officials to high-ranking advisors and counselors. These administrative roles required the samurai to possess not only martial prowess, but also literacy, numeracy, and knowledge of Confucian principles, which were essential for effective governance. One significant development during the Edo period was the promulgation of the Buke Shohato, or laws for the military houses, a series of decrees issued by the Tokugawa shogunate to regulate the behavior and conduct of the samurai class. The Buke Shohato aimed to centralize political power, maintain social order, and reinforce the authority of the shogunate over the daimyo and their samurai retainers. Among its provisions were strict regulations governing the samurai's attire, behavior, and social interactions, as well as restrictions on their ability to engage in acts of violence or rebellion against the established order. Despite their diminished role as warriors, the samurai continued to uphold a strict code of honor and conduct known as Bushido, or the way of the warrior. Derived from Confucian and Buddhist teachings, Bushido emphasized loyalty, duty, self-discipline, and self-sacrifice, which were considered essential virtues for the samurai class. Adherence to Bushido served not only as a moral code, but also as a means of preserving social order and maintaining the authority of the ruling elite. The practice of dueling, known as kendo or kenjutsu, also remained prevalent among the samurai during the Edo period, albeit in a more ritualized and regulated form. Dueling was often used as a means of resolving disputes or defending one's honor, and it played a significant role in shaping the martial skills and discipline of the samurai class. However, dueling was subject to strict rules and protocols established by the authorities, and individuals who engaged in unauthorized or unlawful duels risked severe punishment. Another important aspect of samurai culture during the Edo period was the cultivation of various artistic and intellectual pursuits, including literature, poetry, calligraphy, tea ceremony, and traditional martial arts, such as archery, fencing, and horseback riding. The samurai elite patronized and participated in these cultural activities as a means of expressing their refinement, sophistication, and social status. Many samurai also studied Confucianism, Neo-Confucianism, and other philosophical and religious traditions, which influenced their worldview and ethical beliefs. The Edo period also saw the emergence of a distinct samurai lifestyle, characterized by austerity, discipline, and frugality. Despite their privileged status in society, Many samurai lived modestly and adhered to a strict code of conduct known as Bushido. They abstained from ostentatious displays of wealth and luxury, preferring instead to emphasize the values of loyalty, honor, and humility. Samurai households typically followed a hierarchical structure, with the head of the household exercising authority and responsibility over its members. In conclusion, the samurai of the Edo period underwent a profound transformation from being primarily martial warriors to becoming administrators, bureaucrats, and cultural elites. This evolution was shaped by the political, social, and economic conditions of the time, including the establishment of the Tokugawa shogunate, the implementation of the Hen system, and the promulgation of the Bukushihato. Despite these changes, the samurai continued to uphold their traditions, values, and code of honor, which played a crucial role in shaping Japanese society and culture during the Edo period and beyond. What did you think of the samurai story? By the way, I heard that my maternal ancestor was a samurai. Now let's talk about national isolation. Please take your time, relax, and listen. During the Edo period in Japan, 16,031,868, the country pursued a policy of national isolation known as Sekoku Sogo, which translates to close country. This policy, enforced by the Tokugawa shogunate, aimed to restrict foreign influence and maintain domestic stability. While the term isolation suggests a complete separation from the rest of the world, the reality was more nuanced, with limited interactions with select foreign powers. The roots of Japan's isolationist policy can be traced back to the Sengoku period 14,671,603, a time of civil war and political instability in Japan. The chaos of this period led to a desire among emerging rulers to consolidate power and establish stability. When Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged victorious and established the Tokugawa shogunate in 1603, he implemented strict measures to control foreign trade and interactions. One of the primary objectives of the isolation policy was to prevent the spread of Christianity, which was seen as a destabilizing force that threatened the authority of the shogunate. During the late 16th and early 17th centuries, European missionaries, particularly Jesuit and Franciscan priests, began arriving in Japan and spreading their faith. This alarmed the ruling authorities, as they saw Christianity as a potential conduit for foreign influence and a challenge to their control. In response to the perceived threat of Christianity and foreign intrusion, the Tokugawa shogunate issued a series of edicts to regulate contact with foreigners. In 1635, the shogunate implemented the Sekoku Edict, which restricted foreign trade to designated ports and severely limited the activities of foreign traders and missionaries. Foreigners were prohibited from entering Japan, and Japanese citizens were forbidden from traveling abroad under penalty of death. Under the Sekoku policy, only a select few foreign entities were allowed to maintain limited trade relations with Japan. The Dutch East India Company Vogue and the Chinese Ming and Qing dynasties were granted permission to trade with Japan through the port of Nagasaki. However, even these interactions were tightly controlled, with strict regulations governing the conduct of foreign traders and the types of goods that could be imported and exported. Despite the strict regulations, some limited contact with the outside world persisted. Japanese sailors, known as Red Seal ships, were granted licenses by the shogunate to conduct trade with Southeast Asian countries, such as Vietnam and Thailand. These voyages were tightly controlled by the shogunate and were intended primarily for diplomatic and economic purposes. While the Sekoku policy is often characterized as a period of isolation, it is important to recognize that Japan was not entirely cut off from the rest of the world. Although foreign influences were heavily regulated and limited, they were not entirely absent. Moreover, the policy did not prevent the exchange of ideas and technologies within East Asia, as Japan maintained diplomatic and trade relations with neighboring countries, such as China and Korea. The Sekoku policy began to unravel in the mid-19th century due to external pressures and internal unrest. In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States Navy arrived in Japan with a fleet of warships, demanding that Japan open its ports to foreign trade. Faced with the threat of military force, the shogunate reluctantly signed the Treaty of Kanagawa in 1854, marking the end of Japan's isolationist policy. In conclusion, the Edo period saw Japan adopt a policy of national isolation known as sakoku, aimed at restricting foreign influence and maintaining domestic stability. While the country was not entirely cut off from the rest of the world, interactions with foreign powers were tightly controlled, and foreign trade was limited to designated ports. The sakoku policy came to an end in the mid-19th century, as Japan was forced to open its doors to foreign trade and diplomacy in the face of external pressures. What did you think of the story about national isolation? This probably helped foster Japan's unique culture. Now let's talk about food. When we think of Japan, we think of sushi, but what kind of history does it have? Please take your time, relax, and listen. In the bustling streets of Edo, now Tokyo, during the Edo period, 16,031,868, food was not merely sustenance, it was a reflection of culture, social status, and innovation. Among the myriad of culinary delights that graced the tables of samurais, merchants, and commoners alike, one particular dish stood out, not just for its taste, but for its intriguing history and cultural significance: sushi. Sushi, in its simplest form, is a dish consisting of vinegard rice, combined with various ingredients, such as seafood, vegetables, and occasionally tropical fruits. While today it is synonymous with Japanese cuisine, its origins trace back to the streets of Edo in the early 17th century. During this period, Edo was a city on the rise, experiencing rapid urbanization and a burgeoning population. The streets were alive with the hustle and bustle of merchants, artisans, and travelers, all seeking their fortunes in the burgeoning metropolis. Among the many establishments that lined the streets were sushi stalls, where skilled chefs would craft bite-sized morsels of delight for hungry patrons. However, the sushi of the Edo period was quite different from the elaborate rolls and nigiri we are familiar with today. Instead, it was a simple affair, consisting of fermented rice, seasoned with vinegar and topped with a thin slice of raw fish. This style of sushi, known as narazushi, had its origins in Southeast Asia, where it was introduced to Japan via trade routes. The process of making narazushi was laborious and time-consuming. First, the rice would be cooked and mixed with vinegar, salt, and sometimes sake. Then it would be layered with slices of fish such as mackerel or salmon, and left to ferment for several months. This fermentation process not only preserved the fish, but also imparted a tangy flavor to the rice. Despite its humble origins, sushi quickly gained popularity among the denizens of Edo. Its compact size and portability made it the perfect snack for busy urbanites on the go. Moreover, its unique flavor profile intrigued adventurous eaters, who were eager to sample the latest culinary offerings of the city. As sushi grew in popularity, so too did the number of sushi chefs in Edo. These skilled artisans honed their craft through years of apprenticeship, mastering the art of rice preparation, fish selection, and presentation. Some even became celebrities in their own right, drawing crowds of eager diners to their humble stalls. One such sushi chef was Hanaya Yohei, who is often credited with revolutionizing the sushi industry in the early 19th century. Hanaya's innovation was simple yet ingenious. He replaced the fermented rice used in narazushi with freshly cooked rice, allowing for a quicker turnaround time and a fresher, more vibrant flavor. This new style of sushi, known as edomezushi, quickly became the standard in Edo and laid the foundation for the modern sushi we know today. In conclusion, sushi in the Edo period was more than just a culinary delicacy. It was a testament to the ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability of the people of Edo. From its humble beginnings as a simple street food to its evolution into a global phenomenon, sushi continues to captivate the hearts and palates of people around the world, reminding us of the rich cultural heritage from which it emerged. Do you all like sushi? In Japan, it is sold at supermarkets, so I often buy it and eat it. Now, the next story is about marriage. Please take your time, relax, and listen. During the Edo period in Japan, 16,031,868 marriage customs and practices underwent significant changes, reflecting the societal norms. economic conditions, and cultural beliefs of the time. One fascinating aspect of marriage during this period was the prevalence of arranged marriages, which were not only common but deeply ingrained in the fabric of Japanese society. Arranged marriages were typically facilitated by intermediaries, such as family members, matchmakers, or even professional go-betweens known as nekto. These intermediaries played a crucial role in negotiating the terms of the marriage and ensuring compatibility between the families involved. Marriages were often arranged for economic or social reasons, rather than solely based on romantic love. In the Edo period, marriage was not only a union between individuals, but also a joining of families, with the goal of strengthening social bonds, consolidating wealth, and ensuring the continuation of family lines. As such, considerations such as social status, financial stability, and familial reputation weighed heavily in the matchmaking process. One particularly noteworthy fact about marriage in the Edo period is the concept of mukoishei, which refers to a practice where a family without a male heir would adopt a son-in-law to carry on the family name and inherit the family estate. This custom was especially prevalent among samurai families, where the importance of lineage and succession was paramount. Mukoishi marriages were not only a means of ensuring the continuation of the family line, but also served to maintain the family's social standing and honor. In a mukoishi marriage, a daughter would marry into a family with no male heir, and her husband would be adopted into her family, taking on her family name and assuming the role of heir. This arrangement allowed the family to maintain its lineage and estate, while providing the adopted son-in-law with the opportunity for upward social mobility. Mukoishi marriages were often carefully orchestrated affairs, negotiated between the families involved and sanctioned by legal agreements. One famous example of a mukoishi marriage from the Edo period is the union between Oishi Yoshio, a retainer of the Eko domain, and the daughter of his lord, Aseno Naganori. Following the death of Aseno without a male heir, Oishi married his daughter and was adopted into the Aseno family, becoming Oishi Yoshio Aseno. This marriage not only preserved the Aseno lineage, but also solidified Oishi's loyalty to his lord, as he later led the famous revenge plot known as the Eko Vendetta Eko incident in honor of Aseno. Mukoishi marriages were not without challenges, as they often required significant adjustments and sacrifices on the part of both the bride and groom. The adopted son-in-law had to adapt to his new role within the family and navigate the expectation placed upon him as the heir. Similarly, the daughter marrying into the family had to reconcile her own identity with her new role as the wife of the adopted heir. Despite the complexities inherent in mukoishi marriages, they were seen as essential for maintaining family continuity and ensuring the stability of the social order during the Edo period. While arranged marriages may seem foreign or outdated by modern standards, they played a crucial role in shaping the dynamics of Japanese society and family life during this fascinating period of history. It's a unique culture of adopting a son-in-law and inheriting a family. This is something I still hear a lot today. What kind of marriage is there in your country? Now, the last thing I would like to talk about is games from the Edo period. Please take your time, relax, and listen. In the bustling streets of Edo period Japan, amid the vibrant culture and rich traditions, games played a significant role in the lives of people from all walks of life. One game, in particular, stands out as both a form of entertainment and a reflection of societal values. Go, known as Eigo in Japanese. Go, a strategic board game originating in China over 2,500 years ago, found its way to Japan around the 7th century, gaining popularity among the aristocracy and spreading gradually among the commoners. During the Edo period 16,031,868, while the game's rules are simple, players take turns placing black and white stones on a grid, aiming to surround their opponent's pieces. Its strategic depth and philosophical implications captivated players of all ages. In the narrow alleys of Edo, where merchants bartered and samurai strode with purpose, Go became a staple pastime. It wasn't merely a game, it was a reflection of life itself, embodying concepts of balance, harmony, and foresight. Players would gather in tea houses or open-air pavilions, huddled over wooden boards adorned with black and white stones. engrossed in the delicate dance of strategy and tactics. One of the most remarkable aspects of Go during the Edo period was its transcendence of social barriers. In a society rigidly stratified by class and status, Go offered a rare opportunity for interaction and camaraderie across societal divides. Samurai would compete against merchants, artisans against scholars, all united by their shared love for the game. In these moments, titles and ranks faded into insignificance, replaced by the shared pursuit of mastery over the 1919 grid. In the quiet corners of Edo, away from the clamor of daily life, Go also served as a means of contemplation and self-improvement. It was not uncommon for scholars and intellectuals to spend hours meditating over the board, honing their strategic acumen and fostering mental discipline. The game became a metaphor for life's complexities, teaching lessons of patience, adaptability, and resilience in the face of adversity. However, amidst the tranquility of Go lay a darker undercurrent: the game's association with gambling. As its popularity soared, particularly among the urban populace, Go attracted the attention of those seeking to exploit its allure for profit. Gambling dens and underground establishments emerged, offering high-stakes matches that often led to ruin for the unwary. Despite efforts by authorities to regulate or outright ban such activities, the allure of quick riches proved difficult to suppress entirely. Yet, even in the shadow of vice, Go retained its status as a revered cultural treasure. It inspired countless works of art, from woodblock prints depicting intense matches to poetry extolling the virtues of strategic thinking. Masters of the game were celebrated as paragons of intellect and wisdom, their insights sought after by rulers and commoners alike. As the Edo period drew to a close and Japan transitioned into the modern era, Go endured as a timeless symbol of the nation's rich heritage. Its legacy lives on in the hearts and minds of enthusiasts worldwide, a testament to the enduring power of a game that transcends generations and borders. And in the quiet moments when stones click against the wooden board, echoing the rhythms of centuries past, the spirit of Edo lives on, immortalized in the black and white patterns of Go. How did you like the story about Go, a game from the Edo period? We have a game of Go at my house, but I remember not knowing the rules, so I looked it up on the internet and played it with my friends. What kind of traditional games are there in the place where you live? If you like, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching until the end today. Let's meet again.